2024 is the year of automation. I'm going to give you a stat. Over 80% of operators are adopting technologies like mobile apps, self-service kiosks, and artificial intelligence to transform guest experiences. Your guests now expect personalized, seamless interactions, and automation offers an efficient solution. It's not just about saving on costs, it's a strategic move for enhanced guest satisfaction and operational efficiency. On today's episode, we'll explore 8 reasons why restaurants need automation in 2024 to stay competitive and innovate the guest journey. Let's grow. Welcome to the Restaurant Growth Show podcast, where we talk about how operators can use technology to grow their business. We've got a lot to talk about in this episode, but first, let's introduce our co-host. With more than 25 years of experience, Jose Albis has successfully founded and operated companies in software and hospitality. Lastly, who am I? My name is Gordon. I am your host. I have over 16 years in the food service industry with more than a decade in technology startups. This podcast is sponsored by Dine Pricing, real-time restaurant profitability. Dine Pricing uses artificial intelligence to improve restaurant profitability by dynamically updating menus across digital channels. Jose, what's going on today?
Today, there's going on. 2024 is already here, and we will continue probably talking about 2024, at least the first quarter of the year.
So it's New Year and for the first 3 months for you. Is that it?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
So
it's like when you say Happy New Year for the first month or something.
Yeah. What's the guy's name on Curb Your Enthusiasm? He gives you a week to say that before he says your name in vain.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So Jose, why don't you kick us off with the first 2 reasons why restaurants need automation in 2024?
So here it goes. Number 1, evolving guest expectations. Modern consumers expect seamless, personalized service. They want technology to enhance their experiences, such as mobile apps and self-service options. According to a report by Payments, 76% of restaurants are already using automation in at least 3 areas of operations, indicating a significant adoption of technology to meet evolving guest expectations. Number 2, optimizing revenue. Automated pricing and revenue management solutions are being used to enhance revenue and profits. For example, dynamic pricing. Dynamic pricing models are being adopted in dining establishments like wildfire. The same report by Payments highlights that QSR anticipate 51% of tasks will all be automated by 2025. 51%. This shows a strong focus on automation for revenue optimization as well.
Agreed. So back to number 1, Jose, what types of apps are restaurants adopting in order to meet the evolving guest expectations? What like we've got here mobile apps and self-service options. What do those look like? What kind of technology are we talking about?
I mean, we're talking about things like Ovation for feedback, and it's also with a reward, loyalty and reward. Shift 7 for managing staff hours, which allows for better, again, like in my report this week, happier employees, happier customers, word of mouth. It's a cycle that it's just natural in the hospitality and service industries, and more to come. It's so important to manage expectations of guests that even sometimes I think that there is expectations, and watch out for when expectations become demand. I think I have a title for my next report.
It's funny how that just naturally evolves into it's another rabbit hole that we go down, because even when we're just talking about these technologies and these different options that restaurants have, it's like, oh my God, we need to expand on that. So if restaurants aren't implementing mobile applications, they obviously should be. So mobile apps to me involve first-party online ordering from companies like Modern, where they're able to utilize native apps.
It's a digital restaurant that you own and control.
Exactly. So first-party mobile apps are definitely something that restaurants should be looking at, should already be implementing, because guests are expecting it. So as well, back to number 2, optimizing revenue. We talk about dynamic pricing models all of the time. And really what it comes down to with dynamic pricing is the ability for a restaurant to adapt to the ever-changing market conditions, not just demand, We're talking about cost of goods. We're talking about seasonality. We're talking about the competitive landscape, and being able to adjust your prices on the fly in real time is absolutely necessary for restaurants to survive nowadays. Updating your pricing once a year, it really is a thing of the past. It really needs to be looked at on a daily basis. Let me jump into number 3 of the 8 reasons why restaurants need automation in 2024: labor shortages and costs. The industry faces staffing challenges and rising labor costs, making automation a necessity for efficiency and cost reduction. Jose, you mentioned 7 shifts earlier. Well, tell us a little bit more about that type of technology.
Well, it helps you organize the shifts, and not that I want to be ageist towards the younger, but they are much more adept, and they're one with technology so much that it helps them also manage their time and commitments so that the restaurateur is able to at least have an understanding of what to expect. And again, rewarding your staff, having internal programs, create a culture of service, of satisfaction, and of happiness. Who hasn't been at a restaurant and you almost can feel the happiness, not only in the smiles that you have around you, but also in the food, where
Yes.
you are like, wow, this is such a great experience, and the food is delicious. It's like the happiness was going into the food.
Yeah, agreed. And we talk about 7 shifts regularly. Actually, we're not affiliated with 7 shifts. We're an admirer. They are doing quite well in the industry for the restaurateur as well as the employee. 7 shifts, they're doing a great job. And I just wanted to mention here, there was a recent report by Touch Bistro highlighting that 82% of restaurants reported being short at least one position in 2023. I don't think that's shocking to any one of our listeners. Staffing, it continues to be an issue, and automation and technology are there to help offset those needs. Moving on to number 4 of the 8 reasons why restaurants need automation in 2024: operational efficiencies. Automation in restaurants streamlines operations, allowing staff to focus on customer service rather than manual tasks. And Jose, you mentioned it before, when employees have the ability, are freed up, have more time and energy to focus on the needs of the customer in-house, that just, it shines through the service, and it really highlights all of the qualities of that restaurant. According to a study by Capterra, 75% of restaurants are currently using automation for inventory management, food prep, food safety monitoring, and order capacity, as well as administrative areas such as employee management and performance analytics. That's a mouthful. There's a lot to unpack there. I think that is an episode in itself. What do you think about leveraging technology to improve operational efficiencies?
It's a no-brainer. I always think in terms of like just-in-time systems and making sure that all the way from the crops to in the whole ecosystem, all the way to waste, going through the restaurant, back of house, front of house, the tighter, the closer it is, the better it is for the whole ecosystem. Happier employees, happier customers. Tighter use of the systems for waste, the better it is. Better transportation, the tighter it is. It's just like so many that can be done to reduce waste of time, energy, human time, labor, stress, and putting all this in place all translates into the bottom line.
You know, when it comes down to a matter of seconds in food service, and it literally does, literally down to the second, anything that can help save 10 seconds here, 15 seconds there, that adds up.
All right, number 5, enhanced guest experiences. Automation provides more customized and intuitive guest experiences like self-service kiosks and automated scheduling of services. According to a report by Hotel Tech Report, the trend of mobile check-in is gaining significant traction in the hospitality industry. Although this does not directly address restaurants, it underscores the broader challenges faced by the industry. Right? So you can imagine that, again, going back to the precise timing, we also work, the customer also lives in a world that is tight for time, tight for resources, and anything that helps. I mean, not that I'm necessarily a full proponent of multitasking, but it is kind of our nature. It is kind of like natural of how we live life today, that we are on the way to the restaurant or from the office. We want to book the thing. We get out of the car. We're paying for the parking. We don't go to the machine. We just pay it from the phone as we're walking with stuff and carrying things like a baby on the side for moms. Like it's just the nature of how we do things. So this not only help the guests to have these expectations fulfilled, but it also helps the ecosystem to be tighter and more effective operationally in general.
And this goes back to the expectations of the average guest today, millennials especially, right? They're expecting to be able to check in themselves. And with, say, a QSR, that's where kiosks come into play. That's where pre-ordering through the mobile app comes into play. Being able to automate that, so I'm just walking in and I'm picking it up or setting up my delivery. I lost count of the number of times that I will place an order while I'm on the other side of town, but set up the delivery so that it meets me at my house within 5 to 10 minutes. So it's still hot and fresh. So those are types of automations that people expect nowadays. And it's not just in the hotel industry.
Yeah, it's like we all live in a just-in-time manufacturing line.
It's wild.
Number 6, better employee experiences. We have my report about it. Automation reduces repetitive tasks, allowing staff to focus on meaningful guest interactions. According to a report by ZipDo, approximately 60% of jobs in fast food restaurants could be automated as of 2020.
I double checked that stat because I thought, well, was this a stat from 2018, expecting that in 2020 looking forward? But as a matter of fact, this study was done recently within the past couple of months. And ZipDo is what they're saying here is the 60% of jobs in fast food could be automated as of 2020. So what that means is they could be automated. The technology and the robotics and the automations are there to do these jobs, although they may not be actually taking care of these jobs. It's the potential to be completed.
Yeah, I think it's also technology adoption, human concern for this replacement for job, and having had a pandemic and a staff shortage, right? We see the self-checkouts, and sometimes, I mean, there is reluctance to use them there, and that is great. I think it's very important to understand that. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it also illustrates that there is a huge opportunity for technologists. There's a lot that can be done still. The markets are very, very in the infancy.
Do you find it interesting that with the scare of artificial intelligence and automation and robotics that we hear from on a societal level about they're going to take our jobs, but in actuality, in hospitality specifically, no one's doing those jobs. Like they're struggling to fill those jobs. And so automation and technology is coming in trying to do those jobs. It's not perfect. It obviously can be a lot better. Do you find it interesting that there's this fear that, okay, AI can or automation can do 60% of these jobs in fast food restaurants, but we're scared of them taking those jobs, but the restaurateurs can't fill those jobs? It's like this conundrum.
I find it fascinating. And again, I tell you a story about the little robot that drives plays and picks up stuff that doesn't, because it just drives around and gets in the way of this.
The robot busboy. Yes, you've mentioned this before. I mean, you've laughed through trying to describe it before. Do you not think that technology is not only going to get better, but actually take over an actual bus person?
No, it definitely will improve. There's that's inevitable. I mean, look at some of the robots that are coming out these days. It's ridiculous. So it's just a matter of time.
Yeah, especially Tesla. Tesla is
Yeah.
coming out with some serious robotics. So the hands, the dexterity of the robotic hands is actually at the forefront of the advancement of that technology, which is really, really fascinating. It's coming. The robots are here, man. The robots are here. All right. Moving on to number 7 of the 8 reasons why restaurants need automation in 2024, data-driven insights. And we talk about this all the time on this show. Automated systems provide valuable customer and operational insights, aiding in better decision making. Automated systems can analyze customer data to identify patterns and trends, providing valuable insights into customer behavior and preferences, which can be used to tailor services and improve the overall customer experience. Jose, what do you think of that?
It's very important to keep in mind that with the even sensors and technology being everywhere around us, on even when we go out into the wild, it's important to understand that there is data that is being produced with all of this. And that data has the opportunity to become insights into new ways of understanding our business, our reality. And it is important to keep that in mind because there is that's where it resides, all that we don't know that we don't know.
I was waiting for you to say that, and I was going to be very disappointed if you did not reference "you don't know what you don't know." And to build on that, I find it fascinating. I'm a nerd though, but when you implement new technologies and you are recording the data from these new technologies, these new actions that either your operations are taking or your guests are taking, that actually provides you with new data that never before existed that can inform tasks and it make even more intricate decisions moving forward. So even though you're recording what you're currently doing, if you were to add an automation to your current operations, that is going to provide you with more data that you didn't have before. And that is another episode I think that we should talk about more, which is new data. Well, it's just new data derived from new automations and new technologies that you deploy in your operations. It's fascinating to me because there's so many ways to use that. All right, where are we at here? We are okay. Let's moving on here to number 8 of the 8 reasons why restaurants need automation in 2024. It's a competitive advantage. In the tech-savvy consumer market, automation is essential for businesses to stay competitive and meet guest expectations. We've repeated this throughout this episode. The strong emphasis on automation in the restaurant industry, as highlighted in the payments report that we referenced earlier, it underlines the importance of technology for maintaining a competitive edge and meeting guest expectations. Jose, how can automation provide a competitive edge in your mind?
Well, at every level. It always fascinates me because I think even from a kid looking at the pop machine at McDonald's, it's even today, I think every time it's what I look and just like, look, I lose my gaze in there, watching the machine serving the pop, as simple as that. Then you have, there is currently some robotics that do very specific tasks for some recipes that in QSR especially help. Also, there is ways of building the sauces and creating certain things that are like physical that make it easy for employees and that part of the operation. But then there's also one of my favorite, and it's a little bit more forward, is things like geofencing that may trigger a notification to someone that has to take an action as the customer is in the proximity of the restaurant, like a very precise drive-through, or just even if it was like to make sure that the table was clean or the appetizers were served by the time someone arrives, just in time, just perfect, just as they see it and they get welcomed with their wine or whatever else. So geofencing to me is one of those things that, oh my God, it has so potential.
Yes, but it's not being leveraged the way that it really could be. I mean, it can be challenging, but it's getting easier to use geofencing today, easier than it was last year and especially 5 years ago. One of my favorites that I always come back to is the automated guest feedback and being able to be informed about that guest's most recent interaction down to the minute and getting their feedback like, hey, I'm missing an item, or so and so didn't treat me so well, or hey, this sauce was incredible, please give me more of that. Getting that immediate feedback begins to exponentially grow a competitive edge because you are getting that feedback that you get directly from your customer, not through the grapevine, not a week later on a Google review. That immediate feedback. There are automations like Ovation that we talk about all the time that is absolutely a competitive edge, and it's all done through automation. Is a wonderful, wonderful thing. And we can talk forever about the advantages of automation, technology, robotics, data. It's all there. That is all the time we have for this episode. I'll end with these thoughts. The march toward automation for restaurants is not a fleeting trend. It's a strategic shift. As we've seen with enhancing guest experiences to optimizing revenue, automation is redefining how restaurants operate. It's about staying relevant, efficient, and competitive in a fast-changing market. It's not about replacing the human touch. It's not about replacing it. It's not. It's about enhancing it with the power of technology. That's all for today's episode. Until next week, say goodbye, Jose.
Goodbye, Jose.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.